Welcome back, everybody, to the Sports with Skiz show with myself and Naka. We're going to be doing a week 5 preview of our games to watch with a couple of other quick hits sprinkled in there. But before we get going, Naka, I know we already talked about it with um, Mike Gundy getting fired. I just wanted to see, do you have any other coaches that you could see getting fired before the end of this season? No way. Uh-oh. Tanaka Flaga. As soon as we start going, did you get a call? Isn't my fault. Your loss. Yo, you
Oh,
hear me?
can you hear me? Can you see
Yeah.
me?
Did you get a call?
No.
Uh,
Something. Hold on. Give me one quick moment, bro. I just want to see if the Wi-Fi came back on or not.
that was crazy. As soon as we start going, you just fucking. You took the car.
How do you like the new? I'm in a new place, so that's why I'm
I
kind of
like
dealing
it.
with this. All right, bet.
And
Thanks.
Nick's uni.
It's a
I like
little,
that back
yeah,
there.
it's a little bit broader. I feel like in the
Mm-hmm.
background.
Yeah, I
Um,
like it.
my
Want to
phone's
redo that?
Wi-Fi. I think it happened because my phone's Wi-Fi just popped on, so I don't know if it's coming back on or not. But like, okay, if we're good right now to go, I'm good to go, bro. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I know you're dealing with shit over there, so it's all good. All right. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody, to the Sports with Skiz Show, episode 13, with our week 5 preview. Knock. Before we jump into everything, we already talked about Mike Gundy getting canned early on in the season. Do you have any other coaches that you feel might be gone before season's end?
Yeah, before I have to apologize for the technical difficulties on my side, Chris Kleiman is the next guy out of there. I was a big fan coming into the season, and you know what? He's been a solid coach. It's just sometimes you need a new change of scenery. Look at Daniel Jones. Chris Kleiman, if they don't beat Central Florida as a 5.5 or 6.5 point favorite at home, 1-3, he might be out of there.
I respect it. I respect it. That was a name that I was looking at, but I think Brent Pry for Virginia Tech is gone either way. I don't know if he'll be gone during the season, but you know, Virginia Tech, man, they're trying to get back to that history. I saw a thing come across my screen, seeing if maybe Jimbo Fisher would take the job there if it opens up. So
Mm.
we'll see. I've seen a lot of pissed off Hokie fans on there, but I figured I'd start it off a little different. You know, ask you that question there.
What happened to Les?
Um, what's up?
What happened to Les Miles?
Well, he went through, I guess there was some controversy with him. I think something came about of something he did at LSU while he was coaching at Kansas, and they moved on from him. I want to say he only coached at Kansas for about 2 years, if
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think he's coaching. I don't think he's doing anything right now.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, like I said earlier, we are going to be doing our week 5 college football games of the week that we're looking forward to. So, Knock, you want to start us off here? Or you want me to kick it off?
Yeah, kick it off. You know, you're always giving me the reins to start the day.
I got you, brother. I got you. Well, my first game of the day is going to be Duke at Syracuse. Right now, it's Duke -5.5. The over under is 61.5. This game is looking a little bit juicy for me. Just starting off, Duke. Darian Mensa, we've mentioned him a lot on here. He's been really productive so far, has a high completion rate, good yardage, low turnovers, has 11 touchdowns with 2 interceptions on the year. They do use a heavy rotation with 3 backs. So they got Anderson Castle, they got Nate Shepard, and they got Jaquiz Moore. I think Castle has been a little bit more productive, but all those guys have 20 carries for over 100 yards. And on the outside, I'm a big fan of Cooper Barkate. I can never get how you pronounce his last name. The white wide receiver for Duke. He's been pretty good on the outside. He's their leading receiver right now, I think by over 100 yards, and he's averaging about 20 yards per reception. So look for that Duke offense to keep sustaining their high yardage right now. They're moving the ball a lot. They do need to work on the defensive side. So they don't really get a lot of pressures. They're pretty bad with their overall yardage per game. I'll jump into that here in a little bit. That seems to be the recurring theme for Duke in their games, wins and losses. But the same goes for Syracuse. So I'll jump over to them real quick. Unfortunately, obviously, Steve Angeli, we talked about that. He was lighting the world on fire. I think he was actually second in the country in passing yards, but he tore his Achilles in that win against Clemson. But that means that LSU's transfer, that Ricky Collins, he's going to get the start. He came in against Clemson. He went 3 of 8 for 34 yards and a touchdown. So didn't really have to do too much. Syracuse built that big lead. But I expect just to get him going, he hasn't really seen too much action. To get him going, I'm going to see, I think they're going to start off with a lot of quick, short passes, maybe some RPOs just to get him into some rhythm. He is a nice little dual threat guy there. So I know Fran usually likes that out of his quarterbacks. But the good thing for Ricky is they have extreme depth, at the wide receiver. So they got Darrell Gill Jr., transfer Jonte Cook. Surprised that he's been sticking around. I know he's had some, troubles, it seems like, before he transferred there. And then they have Justice Ross Simmons, and then their tight end, Dan Valeri. So he has a lot of weapons to utilize in that pass game that I think will make him a little bit more comfortable, especially with this game being at home. They also lean heavily on Yasin Willis and Will Nixon in the run game as well, too. So I expect that to help open up the pass game. But Syracuse has struggled establishing the run. So I think if they want to get that offense going and they want to get that, that team cooking, they're definitely going to have to start getting that established. They do rank close to the bottom nationally in run offense. But I said it about Duke. It's the same with Syracuse. Both of these defense stink. I'm going to give you some quick stats here. So for Duke, their defense, overall yards per game, they're giving up 413 yards, which ranks them 113th nationally in the FBS. Passing, they're giving up 260 yards per game, 113th nationally. Rushing, 153, that's 82nd nationally. In scoring, 32.3 points per game. That's 117th. Now, you thought their defense stinks. Let's take it over to Syracuse. 455 yards per game. That ranks them 128th in the FBS. There's only about 8 more schools, I believe, behind them that are worse defensively for yards per game. Passing, they're giving up 296.3 yards. That's 134th nationally. Their run defense is just as bad as Duke's, 158 yards. That's 90th. And their scoring, they're giving up 27.5, so about 28 points per game, which is 98th. So I do think this is going to be a high-scoring game. However, I am going to lean on Syracuse plus 5.5 and the over. I understand that their starting quarterback went down. I just think Fran has built this team up to, just be mentally tough and to push through some of the adversities that they face. Obviously, you never want to see your star quarterback going down, but they went out and got 2 quarterbacks in the transfer portal for a reason. So I'm going to go with Syracuse and the Orange at home plus 5.5. And again, I really do like that over.
Yeah, hammer the over. Those defenses are god awful. Listen, Fran is a good coach. I love what he's established, like you said down there. I do like Yasin Willis as a running back out of the backfield. They do have the weapons, but you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna have to take Duke here, and it's just because you just think Syracuse is going to go out and have their way with them after what they did to Clemson last week, right? And I mean, they played their tails off, man. I mean, they played with a lot of fire. They were up 10 at half, and when their quarterback Steve Angeli went down, the third quarter had just kicked off. They could have easily folded, and they didn't. And Ricky Collins, where I think you said he was like 3 for 8. He did throw a nice like 30-yard strike on a back shoulder. Kind of like a hitch fade kind of deal, comeback-ish, route. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see them with the backup quarterback and the continuity that they have as a team. I'm still gonna rock with Duke.
I
On
like
the
it.
road, right?
Yeah, on the road. It's at Syracuse. It's just an interesting game. I mean, I could definitely see Duke winning. Sometimes those teams coming off a big win, a program defining win or changing win, I guess I should say, sometimes do sleepwalk that next week. So I don't shade you at all for picking Duke. Go ahead, Knock, kick us off with your first game.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you here too. I switched up quicker than a square dancer for this one. Last week, as a matter of fact, just 3 days ago, I would have told you, hey, Illinois, relegate them, get them out of the top 25. I was very adamant about that. However, I had time to digress. I got to sleep a little bit, and I got to thinking, Illinois is playing USC at 12 o'clock at home? Es muy interesante, Mike, okay? Very interesting to me. So we saw it last week with Texas Tech. Texas Tech, they go into a different environment, they go on the road, and it's a time zone situation. For them, it was like playing at 10 o'clock in the morning. Well, for USC, with jet lag, playing at 12 for them would still be essentially like playing at 9 a.m.
And it's going to be 11 Central Time. So it's even going to be an hour.
Okay, boom.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, Illinois cannot come out flat. I mean, I don't know how as a man you can go back into the locker room and sit there and say, like, no, I don't want to run it back right now. They should have wanted to play Indiana 10 times that night. You lost by
Mm-hmm.
53. You have to come out hot. I don't even want to speak too much about statistics. I want to talk about how USC, though, statistically is fire offensively. 583 yards a game, third in all of college football. Illinois' defense, they do give up 346 yards on their own. They will be without their starting cornerback, um, Xavier Scott. So that's going to be a problem for concern for them because Makai Lemon for USC is a problem. Jada Maava has just been awesome so far.
Yeah,
I
he's
think
been a
he's got
beast.
1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. This USC offense, like I said, 580 yards a game. That's 250 on the ground. All right. They are no joke. But you know me, Mike. The fans should know me by now. USC has played nobody, and I will give Illinois the benefit of the doubt one time. They have the running game. I believe that they have an offensive line that can contain USC's defensive line, and their defense isn't great. Let me tell you something. Illinois in the red zone is 89% scoring. 89%. 9 times out of 10, they are gonna score inside of the 20-yard line. Another thing, USC is one of the most undisciplined teams in all of college football. I think if you just put it all together, I've got to take Illinois to cover the 6.5, but I'm taking them on the money line with confidence.
Mm.
Confidence.
Okay. All right. I like that. I like
Woo.
that. It's definitely going to be interesting. I know you said that Illinois, likes to establish their run game, so it's definitely going to be a test. I think USC is a top 25 rush defense, so they do have a strong defensive line, but I kind of like what you said there. It is one of those times where we got our shit kicked in the week before we lost. It's time to show up. Whose pride is going to show up? Who's going to play for each other? With that being said, though, I am going to stay with USC. I just think that they're rolling right now. I think that whole university is trying to get back to the top that they once were. So this would be a really big win. I would actually move them to 3-0 in Big Ten play as well, too, before they move into some buys and get some rest. So I think they're going to look to carry that momentum. So it's going to be interesting to see. This is a spot, though, where in the past, especially the past couple of years, USC has struggled against teams like this. So I could see them coming out sleepwalking and losing this game, but I am going to take USC minus 6.5. So that's another game that we're against each other. I like it.
Well, you know what? Let me just hop in there before you get into your next game. I just want to say I don't feel like you're doing your due diligence enough for your team. I know they were on a bye week last week. The Pittsburgh Panthers are at home versus Louisville this week, and I wanted to cover this one specifically for you. All right. I'm going to give
Mm-hmm.
you my pick off the rip. Pitt wins at home. Okay. Louisville 3-0. Miller Moss, the quarterback transfer from USC,
Mm-hmm.
looks great. He's been playing very well. Again, Louisville hasn't played anybody. West Virginia isn't the greatest team in the world. Central Michigan, not the greatest team in the world. Both of those teams are arguably better than everybody that Louisville has played against thus far, okay? Louisville's a 4.5 point favorite. And you know what? They're without 2 of their starting running backs this week, Mike. They're
Mm.
without Isaac Brown and Duke Watson, okay? Both have lower leg injuries. So that's going to put a lot of pressure
Duke
on Miller
Watson's a
Moss.
beast, too. Duke Watson's a beast. Sorry, not to cut you off.
No, dude, you're fine. He's a beast, and it's going to cause a lot of problems for Miller Moss. I know what Pitt's defense can do. Now, granted, defensive back wise, Pitt's hurting a little bit. You know what I mean? But I
Mm-hmm.
believe that Pitt has a front seven. I believe that Eli Holstein played in a tough environment going into West Virginia. Like I said, West Virginia is not that great of a squad, but that's always going to be a difficult ball game. He got it out of the way. He had a bye week to rest, to get himself right. Desmond Reed is back. Kenny
Mm-hmm.
Johnson's going to play much better. So I'm going to be honest with you here. I'm just keeping this quick. I like Pitt.
I like it. I like it. I'll be a homer. I'll always side with Pitt. The one thing that I need to see, though, for sure, especially if there's people tuning in after they've seen what happened to me after the debacle at West Virginia, that offensive line. If I'm the coach, that whole bye week and the practices leading up, I'm calling guys out. You got to play better. That's what's going to stir the offense. They got to get that rushing game going with Desmond Reed, and they got to protect Eli Holstein. And Eli Holstein in his own has to make better reads. He cannot rely just solely on his first go-to or just the check down. You got to be able to progress. Nick Saban recruited you for a reason, brother. It's time to slow down those happy feet and show that you're made for this big time stage, right? So you could either tuck your tail if you're a Pitt Panther, or you could show up and play Saturday. So I'm hoping Narduzzi has these boys ready to play. I'm not going to hold my breath, though. I've been a Pitt fan for all my life. These are the games that they try to wake you back up for, and then they just let you back down slowly. So I'm going to ride with the Pitt Panthers. But if I'm that coach, I'm calling out the players specifically, excuse me, that offensive line. I know what got me going as an offensive lineman. It was playing bad. And then your coaches, hey, are you sure you're made for this? Are you ready for it? All right, I'm going to show you. You're going to piss me off. We're going to keep going. So I do like that. I appreciate you bringing that up. I was going to let that game slide. I looked at it and almost threw up. So I'll jump into my game here. So this is a big one, Knock. I don't know if you have some stuff on it too. I know I usually love giving love to a lot of the smaller schools and the smaller games here, but I'm sorry, I had to talk about this game. We got Alabama traveling to Athens, Georgia. Georgia minus 3.5, over under 52.5. Alabama has been playing solid. Granted, again, like a lot of these teams that we've talked about, it's still early in the season. They really haven't played anybody. You could say, oh, they played a Big Ten school and Wisconsin. Doesn't matter. Wisconsin sucks. Luke Fickell's gone after this year, so it doesn't matter. They're a terrible team. Ty Simpson, though, has changed around since the season opener. He had a challenging one, but he showed some resilience and improvement, and he showed accuracy as well, too. So he has 862 yards through the air, 9 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions right now. And if you're a Bama fan, man, seeing Ryan Williams, how he played against Wisconsin, I mean, that catch he had on the sideline, stopping on a dime and then taking it to the crib, he's lights out, man. I know that he had, after the game last year, this was his coming out party against Georgia. I'm sure he wants to do that again. So he's made some huge plays. I think he's going to make a couple more this game as well, too. Also, if you're a Bama fan, something that's great for you, running back Jam Miller is back. He's returning from injury. He hasn't played at all this season. He's expected to help out, a bolstering running game in Alabama. And I mean, he is a mean blocker as well, too, in that passing game, which if you're Ty Simpson, that should, give you a lot of confidence moving forward. So look for him to make an impact right away. They're going to need to get that running game going. They have been struggling. And, Georgia's defense isn't no slouch. They haven't been that good in the passing game, but I still want to see Bama get that defense or that running game going. So Bama also has to be head over heels to get Tom Keenan. He's back. He played last week, but in a limited role. I think he's all systems go this week. So he's a pivotal presence on that defensive line. He was also one of those guys that was showing their head coach some love even after a hard loss in week 1. So he's a guy that bleeds Bama. So that'll help out. And then Bray Hubbard, he's going to have to show up in the secondary against Georgia's passing game. That's how Georgia's basically been able to stay in some of these games with their passing. So he's been pretty good so far this season. He's going to have to show up again this game. So moving on to Georgia, Gunnar Stockton, he's been leading the offense also with some poise. So his performance will be critical against this Alabama defense. So he made some huge throws in that game against Tennessee. Knock, you and I were watching that. He showed a ton of fight, so he's obviously not going to go down without swinging. The strength of Georgia right now, though, is their running game too. So they have a good mix. And how could that not be one of the things that they lean on? I took a look at their offensive line. Knock. These guys weigh an average of 326 pounds. They have a true freshman that weighs 360 that starts at guard. He's huge,
That's it.
huge. Huh, crazy, bro. I can't even imagine. It's 6'7", I think 360. Crazy. And he wears it well. They also have 4 players with over 100 rushing yards, led by Nate Frazier. And then the receiving corps, I mean, they're huge. They have multiple options for Stockton to get going in the passing game. Zachariah Branch has been huge. He needs to stay on that trajectory that he's been on as well, too. So under the guidance of defensive coordinator Glenn Schumann, Georgia's defense has remained, formidable. They're not the best that they've been in recent years, especially in that passing game. So they are giving up a lot of big plays, which is very, very unlike Kirby Smart and his defense. So we're gonna have to see how that gets going. A matchup that I'm looking forward to on the on the defensive side going against Bama's offense is Dalen Everett, the senior. He's projected first round pick this year. He's going to have to show up and show out early against Ryan Williams. So that's going to be a good one to see. Now, the key to this one is going to be the turnover battle. So I think both teams have shown that, they're liable or susceptible to turning the ball over. So it's going to be maintaining that possession. That's what's going to be the key to success. I know that a lot of people say that, but with this team, it really is. But with this game right here, Knock, I'm leaning Alabama plus 3.5. And I do like
Mm-hmm.
the over as well, too. I'm an over guy. I hate giving out unders unless it's, the Cyhawk Classic that we talk about. But I don't know. I think that Kalen DeBoer is fiending for another big win. I think Bama's been clicking. Georgia, I mean, they showed a lot of resilience. They already went into a hostile environment in Tennessee and won that game. They showed a lot of fight as well, too. But I don't know. I could easily see, getting back on this on, Monday or Tuesday and saying, boy, what an idiot I am. But you know what? I am an idiot. I'm not thinking we're going to go Bama plus 3.5.
Yeah, the 3.5, I might have to. It's hard not to tell that, you know what I mean? Even though I think Georgia's going to win this game outright. Ty Simpson has been great. He looks like he can make pretty much every throw in the book. He's got great rip on the ball, good velocity, a lot of spin, good touch. I mean, I'm really impressed. I did not expect him to come out slinging it like he does, and
Mm-hmm.
he does. With their running back, Jam Miller coming back, that's a good thing. I feel like Alabama's running game hasn't been crazy this year, and against a team like Georgia, they're going to need that. If they want their passing game to succeed downfield, they're definitely going to want to bring their defensive backs up, a little bit of play action, things of that nature to kind of get their
Mm-hmm.
offense rolling. They are in Georgia's backfield, though. In their home state, on the road, Alabama is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not going to be easy considering Alabama won last year, right?
Yeah.
So Georgia offensively, I mean, I think they've got it. I think Gunnar Stockton is awesome. I think just the dual threat ability that he's got, they lean heavily on the running game. Like you said, they still have wide receivers that can get active. Zachariah Branch, he's somebody that's going to go pro, along with Ryan Williams as well one day. So this is definitely going to be a fun one. I think this is
Mm-hmm.
going to be a lot lower scoring than what people think. I think last year was a pretty high scoring game. Both offenses were moving the ball downfield. So I think Ty Simpson's going to have himself a little bit of struggle versus what is just a highly pedigreed Georgia defense. They gave up some big plays to Tennessee's wide receiver a couple of weeks ago, 3 touchdowns, you know what I mean? But those
Mm-hmm.
are a dime a dozen. I think their defense is going to come in and they're going to be hungry, ready. The home crowd is going to be um, a major impact on this game. And I can see the game ending at 3 points, which is why 3.5 is hard for me to bet against.
Yeah.
So I'm going to rock out with you on a 3.5. But I really am not surprised. Wouldn't be surprised if Georgia covers.
Yeah, same here. It's like it's a toss up, to be honest with you. I think, even though Georgia has, the good win at Tennessee, they have struggled at home against the likes of Austin P, I believe it was at one point. I think they only won 27-3. So they have shown struggles. And, I think Bama's going to come out hungry. So we'll see what happens. Knock. Do you have another game or are we sharing this one?
We're
This
sharing it,
next
dude.
one? Hell yeah. Will you do you want to start it off here?
Yeah, I have no problem starting it off with the Penn State Nittany Lions, man. Let me tell you something, Mike. I've watched these guys growing up for years and years and years, and they just love playing little brother, second place, give us a trophy, 5-star recruits, 4-star recruits, NFL guys. Look, man, Penn State might not have a better opportunity to win a national championship than right now. They retain all 5 starting offensive linemen. They have 2 1,000-yard rushers in the backfield who both played as freshmen. They are seniors now. So for the last 4 years, they have gotten great, great repetitions. Drew Aller is finally grown up a little bit. And I'm not the biggest fan. I'm really not. He still has to show me a lot of things. Penn State, another team that relies heavily on the run game. It is going to be super important going up against this Oregon defense. They're good. They're fast. They have a high-powered offense. And again, back to Penn State. James Franklin, listen, buddy. Penn State's like 4-20 against ranked teams, like with you being there. All right, it's really, 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 really bad. Like, you're at
Mm-hmm.
home. It is a whiteout. It is imperative that you come out and win this game. All right. Now the defense gives me. There's still some questions. And granted, Mike, Penn State. Who'd they play their first 3 weeks? They played Nevada. They played Villanova. They played Florida International. And you know
Johnstown
me.
High School.
Yeah, you know me. Oh, who did they play? If they didn't play anybody, Tanaka's betting against that team. But you know what? I just can't do it. I just can't bet against the home team. We're talking about Oregon having to come back to the other side of the country. They went to Chicago about 2 weeks ago. We saw that game together. They're going to have to come back even further to the East Coast, and they are going into. I don't think these people realize what environment they're going into. They just can't. They just can't. Happy Valley, Saturday night, whiteout, Penn State covers.
Okay. All right. I like it. Yeah. And for those that haven't, seen the lines or anything like that, it is Penn State -3.5, and the over under is 52.5. I had it mentioned too that this is their, Penn State whiteout game, which is nice. I feel like the past couple of years it's been like a noon kickoff. So I'm glad that this is going to be a later game. So jumping into Oregon, I'm going to cover the Ducks. Can't stand Penn State, so I didn't really want to talk about them. Oregon, they're amongst the nation's leader in plays over 20 yards. So their offense has been very dynamic. Again, they haven't played anybody too crazy, but the good thing about that is we talked about it last week. They've been blowing out their opponents. They just beat the shit out of little brother in Oregon State last week, excuse me. So I think that they're going to have some momentum. Dante Moore has been very, very efficient, throwing for 962 yards, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's ranked 5th in the country in passer rating at 195.9, and he's also ranked 5th in completion percentage at 74.7. So that's going to be huge, especially when you're playing a defense as tough as Penn State. This will be his toughest defense he plays, I believe, all year. I don't think he has to play against Ohio State or Michigan. So you like playmakers? Let's talk playmakers. Jaden Lamar. I mean, he's Lamar. I think it's Lamar. He's the go-to back, but they also have 2 speedsters in Derry Hill Jr., excuse me, and Noah Whittingham. So all 3 have runs over 50 yards or more. So they have some big play abilities, nothing that we haven't seen outside of, other Oregon teams that we've seen in the past, but their receiving core is also deep. They're actually led by a true freshman in DeCorian Moore. He is a playmaker, and they also have Malik Benson. But another guy to keep an eye on for this offense is Kenyon Sadiq. He has big play abilities, even though he is just a tight end. Their O-line, they're going to have to show up to play. This is going to be their toughest matchup again all year. So they have been pretty good in the run game. It could be a little bit better, but they're averaging about 6 yards a clip while running the ball. The one thing that they really, really need to solidify this weekend, and they've only given up 1 sack, which is kind of crazy to think about through 4 games. They have still given up some strong pressures. So their pass protection does have to be, stout. It does help that, Dante Moore is a dual threat quarterback. So that does help out as well too. So we'll see how that goes. Their defense is pretty tough as well too. This is going to be Penn State's toughest defense that they've seen all year. So they rank 12th nationally in yards allowed per game at 228. So that's going to be interesting to see. Their pass defense is pretty good too, ranks them 10th, and their points per game is 10th as well too. Their linebacking core is the leader of this defense. They're all very, very good. Bryce Butcher, he's a beast. Tatum, 2EOT, I believe is how you pronounce it. He's another beast. And Mateo Uyunglele, DJ's little brother, is more of a stand-up D end, I guess. He's listed as a linebacker, but he has 3 sacks on the season. We talked about true freshmen on the offensive side. They do have a true freshman cornerback that has been unreal. You played the position, you know how hard it is. Brandon Finney Jr., he ranks second in the country at just 20% catch rate against him. So that's going to be interesting to see going against their defense, or going against Penn State's offense, excuse me. And just a couple of stats for you here. Knock, you did already mention it. James Franklin, 4-20 against top 10 teams. Dan Lanning is 4-4 against top 10 teams. I got some more stats here for you. Penn State, 326 and 82 in Beaver Stadium since it opened up in 1960, and they're 11-6 in whiteout games. I found this really, really crazy. This is the last stat. It just goes to show you how much Oregon scores. Dan Lanning, 32-0 when holding opponents under 34 points. Give me the Ducks.
Wow. 32-0. That's insane.
32-0 when holding them 34 points. That's crazy. You give up 33, they're still winning, basically. That's nuts. It is going to be very tough, though. As much as I hate Penn State, Penn, their environment is nuts. You see that clip every year going crazy with the whiteout against Michigan. They're playing Mo Bamba. They got to use a timeout, 15 minutes still on the play clock. So it's going to be tough for Oregon. This is going to be their harshest environment that they're playing in.
Yeah, no, back to your point about the 32-0 over 30, what'd you say, 32 or 34 points? I mean, when they played
34.
34, when they played last year, Oregon beat Penn State 45-37. So
yeah.
I do expect a little bit more of a defensive ball game, but like you said, with Oregon and how talented and strong their offense is, you never know.
Yeah.
Huh? So
yeah, if Penn State wants to win, I feel like they got to get after Dante Moore early and often. It is his biggest start going into, a rough environment. And then for Oregon, I mean, make Drew Aller win that game, shut down the run, see if he could be competent. I still don't think that he gets a lot of people, and some of my friends might not like this. They're Penn State fans. I don't think he's all that well. I don't think he's the quarterback that a lot of these guys are talking about, a first-round talent. I still think he struggles against very good teams, and I think he's been inconsistent with his accuracy. So I'm not trying to be harsh. That's why I said about Dante Moore. I wanted to make sure I gave some leverage on that, but do with that what you will.
I just wanted to highlight real quick here and thank you for acknowledging that I did play cornerback at one point in my life. That way, when I go around telling people that I did play football, they won't laugh at me. So I appreciate that a lot, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, obviously, you're going to end it or whatever. This isn't Division One, but I wanted to kind of highlight a Division Two program that both you and I know of very well. Mike, you played in the PSAC. There, I'm giving you your flowers. A PSAC team, Slippery Rock, ranked number 4 nationally in Division Two. They just kicked the absolute dog shit out of Shippensburg, 42-0. They averaged 400 yards of offense per game, averaging 30 points per game, 14 created turnovers in 3 games, and they hold opponents to an average of 9 points per game. I want to highlight some of their players really quick. Anthony Vespo, 700 yards, 6 total touchdowns. He's their quarterback. J.J. Jordan, the running back. Latrell Sutton, that wide receiver. Their defense has been absolutely exceptional, and they play Cal PA this weekend. So I'm rooting for Slippery Rock. I'm going to follow them pretty deeply from this point forth because it's to my understanding that they've never won a Division II national championship. So this could be the year. And I've been on Western PA all day, so I might as well stay with it. We stay up north.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of like the PSAC. Shane talked about it from ODU last week. It's the best, one of the best, if not, I believe the best Division II conference. Just with the overall landscape, you got Slippery Rock, Cal U. You now have Shepherd in there. You have IUP. Shippensburg had a run at one time. Bloomsburg, Westchester. There's a ton of teams in there that usually take turns with it. But Slippery Rock has been one of the most consistent. Cal, let's not bat an eye at them. They're ranked 8th as well too. So this is a top 10 matchup for
Mhm.
Division II. And then I know you said about Slippery Rock beating the shit out of Shippensburg 42-0. They had 6 sacks and 2 turnovers last week. So that defense is ferocious. Um, but I'm glad you did that. My quick hits wasn't going to be anything too crazy. I do have one other Division I game that I want to talk about, but we could save that for after. I'm just going to go from the FCS, D2, and D3. We have a really good ranked matchup. That's also a rivalry going on in the FCS. So Idaho and Montana play this weekend. That's going to be a great game. I believe that one's actually going to be on ESPN too. So make sure you tune into that. I think it's at Montana, and their stadium is sick. There's nothing else out there. So, like, you might as well, if you're in Montana, you love football, you might as well support them or Montana State. A little in state rivalry here close to home, I guess, if you want to call it. Number 9, Lehigh, is taking on Penn University. So, or the University of Penn. I don't know what they are, Ivy League. So, that should be a good one. And
And
then yeah, another rivalry right here, Knock. You'll like this one. Number 1, North Dakota State taking on South Dakota. So that should be a pretty big matchup as well, too. I don't know if you could find that one being televised. I wish that they would have more channels that you could get. ESPN Plus sucks. All these other local
if you have
ones.
Hulu, if you are a Hulu guy, Hulu is where you go and watch college sports. They will absolutely have that game.
Will they?
Absolutely.
I might
I
have
have
to
no
check it
question
out.
in
I'm
my
more of
mind.
a YouTube, more of a
Sorry, Dan.
YouTube TV guy.
I'm gonna
Um,
leave this here. I'll be back tomorrow.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Just make sure the dogs
no,
are
you're good.
out.
Oh,
And then just moving on. Oh, yeah, no, you're good. I'll start right here. All right, and then moving on to D2, Knock, you already covered one I was going to talk about, Slippery Rock and Cal, top 10 matchup. We have a top 5 matchup this weekend. I messed up week 0. I thought they played then. They actually play this week. Ferris State. Shout out to Trinidad Chambliss. This is, where he was at last year. Now he's at Ole Miss taking over the reins. But Ferris State and Grand Valley State. Grand Valley State's ranked 4th. Ferris State's ranked 2. Ferris State is the defending national champions, for D2. This is a really big rivalry in the GLAC, as they call it. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. And then this is not a ranked matchup, but I think UT Permian Basin, they could definitely be ranked. They're 3-1, I believe. But number 1, Midwestern State, is taking on UT Permian Bison. So that should also be a good game. That's in the Lone Star Conference. So shout out to them. And then we have a top 5 matchup in Division III. We got Mount Union versus St. John's, Minnesota. So that's a number 2 versus a number 4 matchup. That should be a very good game. That might be streaming on one of their sites locally. So if you take a look at that, you might be able to catch it. So I wanted to give some love to some of these smaller schools. There was one game, Knock, that I don't know if you saw, that we didn't have anything listed for it, but I did just want to talk about it a little bit because I do think there is some crazy stuff that could happen. But Ohio State is traveling out to Washington University to take on the Huskies. Right now, it is Ohio State -7.5. The over/under is 51.5. I'm not going to lie to you, man. I kind of like Washington in this game for some reason. Their offense is very good. I think this team is different than we've seen the past 2 years there. And it could be, a little bit of a harsh environment for Julian Sand. I know their defense could keep him into games, but he hasn't really played a true away game yet. And they're traveling across the country, up there in Seattle, Washington, and Husky Stadium. It's not an easy place to play. Shout out to my man G. He's gone to a lot of games, told me all about it. It's right on the water. They tailgate on their boats. So I know that that's going to be a raucous scene. And I like the Huskies. Give me the Huskies in that.
yeah, man, it's really interesting that you say that the line's at 7.5 because it started at 9.5. It was at 8.5 this morning. So that kind of tells me that that's not really a bad play. I haven't seen too much of Washington, and I didn't really look too much into that game. But it's plausible, traveling across the country, saying, obviously he had that start against Texas, and Texas, that's a major Power Five game. But yeah, on the road, I could definitely see like a Washington maybe covering the first half spread or even winning the first half. Remember, Ohio State kind of struggled there for a little bit at home with Ohio until in the second half, late third, early fourth, they really just kind of ran it off on them. So I will be tapped into that.
Penalties, they are 61st, averaging about 49, about 50 yards in penalties. Not too much, but in a game like this, you want to make sure you're cool, calm, and composed. And then their offense, you can't bat eyes at it. I feel like it's not getting a lot of recognition. They're 10th in the FBS in total yards per game. They're 30th in passing. They're 9th in rushing, and they're 2nd in scoring. So I know they haven't played a lot of crazy good talent. They just beat Washington State in the Apple Cup last week, but their offense is very dynamic. I think it'll be interesting to see how they play against a very strong Ohio State defense.
Yeah. We'll tap into that, and I'm sure I'll be betting on Washington live or whatever the case may be because I'm a sicko.
Yeah, go Huskies. Go Huskies.
Huskies.
Did you have anything else, Knock?
No, honestly, I just wanted to real quick. You brought it up when we were talking about the Division II, the GLAC, the Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. I highlighted them actually. Delaware, Davenport University. I was talking about them earlier in the week, so I think it's funny. I just think that it's just a super long name. It's pretty funny to me. Say it fast, So no, I'm good, Mike. I think I'm excited for this week's breakdown of college football, and I'm gonna watch some of these games and. Hulu, guys, Hulu. If you want to watch smaller schools, you can't catch the D1 or whatever. If you got Hulu, you might as well already just get the cable package that comes with it.
Yeah, that's what I've been looking around shopping. I don't mean to keep talking about stuff like that, but yeah, YouTube TV's been pissing me off a little bit lately. They haven't had all the games on that I was looking for, so it is what it is. Maybe we'll look to switch a little bit. But Northern Michigan in the GLAC?
You know what, bro? I couldn't tell you I couldn't tell you. I can look it up for you.
We're kind of stadium sluts on here, so I don't know if you've ever looked at it. Let me see. If you haven't looked at it, go look at their stadium. It is a dome in their Division II, so it is pretty cool.
No.
Yep, they're in the GLAC. Yep, yeah, they have a dome.
They look like North Dakota State, bro.
Yeah, it's pretty sick, and it's a nice little stadium that they got there. They do look very similar. I couldn't remember. There was another school that was up in Michigan that I thought played in the dome too, in Northwood, but they don't, and they're not in the GLAC, I don't believe. So
I would watch a game here for free.
Yeah, for sure. That would be a cool game to go up there and see. And it's funny, you see a lot of like Northerns, and they're usually D1. That's a D2. So,
it's amazing, like how many schools there are, how many Division II schools and programs there are. Division III. I mean, there is hundreds upon hundreds.
And it's even funnier whenever you look geographically at a map of Division II teams. They're like all East Coast. There's like barely any out on the West Coast. I don't know what it is. I think there's some that are out in like Cali and stuff like that, but it's majority Midwest and over. The guys who I think of that reign supreme that I guess would be more out towards that way is like Pittsburgh State in Kansas. That's not too far over there. And then that Midwestern State, I believe that they're the same team that won like 3 in a row back from like 2014 to like 16. Don't quote me on that. I'm trying to bring some of my D2 knowledge out here just from playing D2. I feel like I like to see that. But there's I think a D2.com that you could go on and look at all the schools and their stadiums. It's pretty cool. I used to go on it all the time in high school whenever I didn't feel like doing work. So that will be all that we have, I believe, today. We appreciate it. Like we said, Knock was going through some technical difficulties, but he's a stud. He was able to make it work. So, but we appreciate everybody for tuning in, listening. Make sure you go follow us on all socials, Sports with Skiz across all platforms. No matter what you have, go find us on there. And thank you guys so much again for tuning in. It really means a lot.